When I practiced as a naturopath, which I did for a number of years, one of my biggest frustrations was people wanting a magic pill for the newest magic tablet that was going to make them lose heaps and heaps of weight, but they weren't willing to address their own habits and their own responsibility to themselves.
Welcome to Plant-Based Eating for Health with your host, certified plant-based nutritionist, Kathleen Gage.
Well, today I am very, very excited to have a very artistic kind of vegan with me. She's not only a writer, she's a musician. She's been vegan for over 8 years. And I actually met Mem Davis through a network that I belong to. I'm a real proponent of finding networks where you find like-minded people that you can share ideas with. And this happens to be an international women's vegan network. And we'll be talking about that during our conversation. But with that, Mem, I am so glad to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. It's really nice to be here.
Okay, well, I forgot to even say who I am. I'm so excited. This is Kathleen Gage. This is Kathleen Gage with Plant-Based. They know who I am. But hopefully. But we're with Plant-Based Eating for Health. And I started this podcast show primarily for people who eat plant-based. And what I am finding is the longer I'm plant-based, and I just crossed the 2-year mark, the longer I'm plant-based, the more vegan I become, which is interesting because when I first started out, and I don't know if this happened to you, Mem, or if you were vegan from the go-get, but when I first went plant-based, I did not want to call myself a vegan because I thought vegans are radical, they're crazy, they're this, they're that. I had a lot of judgment, and now I'm one of those crazy vegans because, it's about the animals as well as sustainability as well as my health. So tell us about how you got involved in being a vegan.
It was an accident. I was a qualified naturopath and nutritionist who knew everything there was to know about health until I didn't. Until I decided to get fit and started learning about nutrition for athletes. And the people training me were carrying on and on and on about protein, and I was vegetarian at the time for ethical reasons. And I started researching how you could be fit and strong on a vegetarian diet, discovered a whole heap of vegan bodybuilders and went, this is doable even as a vegan. That sent me down the pathway of learning more about the ethics behind a lot of animal issues and why vegans don't involve themselves in anything with animal products or byproducts. And gradually I started to cut things out one by one. I learned about the egg industry and went, I can't eat eggs anymore. I can't support that. And then I learned about the chicken industry and went, I don't eat chicken, but, now I'm even more anti-chicken, and so on and so forth for basically every animal issue that's out there. And woke up one day and went, I think I might be vegan. I think that everything that I'm doing lines up with the vegan philosophy, but I can't be vegan because, like you were saying, I'm not one of those radical people, except I was. And I went through the period of outrage where I started sharing all of these horrible posts about what's happening out there because I needed to share the message, and gradually toned it down and realized that I could lead by example as well. Right. There's a nice balance for everybody. And
well, I think that's a big one because as we're coming to the end of the year, I was thinking, what do I want 2021 to look like in my life? And what I really have committed to is raising awareness around the personal responsibility we all have to our own health. Because with the pandemic, I'm not sure how it is in your country, but in our country, what I've noticed is there's a lot of comorbidity that goes on with the complications from the pandemic. And I think if people took more responsibility for their personal health, we wouldn't have a lot of the complications that we have. And I'm not minimizing by any stretch of the imagination the pandemic. But what are your thoughts on that around, because you're in great shape, you're very healthy looking, and I'm just wondering how you feel about people being more responsible for the choices they make around the foods that they eat.
when I practiced as a naturopath, which I did for a number of years, one of my biggest frustrations was people wanting a magic pill and not wanting to take responsibility for their health. They were quite happy to take any medications, any supplements I offered them, but they were not willing to make even minor changes to their diet because it was too difficult and too unfamiliar. And I found that the people who did step up and go, this is going to help, were the ones who got the best results and the ones who experienced the best health. I worked in the health food retail industry for quite a number of years. And the same thing, everybody was really quick to jump on the bandwagon for the newest magic tablet that was going to make them lose heaps and heaps of weight. But they weren't willing to address their own habits and their own responsibility to themselves. And I was watching them flush their money down the drain.
Right.
Yeah.
And so with what you do, you're a writer, and you said your passion is writing. Tell us about what you do with your writing, and does that in any way impact your role as a vegan and your mission as a vegan?
Yeah, very much so. So predominantly I do copy and content writing, which is creating content and ads for other businesses so that they can sell their services or their products. My job is to take their tone of voice and match it up with their ideal customer so that they're speaking the language of their customers and people are more likely to listen. What I set out mostly to do is to work with other ethical businesses so that I can support those who are doing the right thing by the planet and by the animals and by other people. I don't think that it's responsible to be selling animal-based products. I really do. I think we're doing humanity and the planet a disservice. So if I can use my skills to support and grow other businesses who are doing the right thing ethically and the right thing by humanity, then I'm doing my job right.
You know, I had a situation the other day. I was with a couple of people, and somebody said something about getting some honey, and I said, "Well, that's not vegan. I don't do honey." And they literally jumped all over me. "Oh, you're such a radical. How do you know that it's not vegan?" And I said, "Because it's an animal-based product." And they were really upset because they wanted to get honey, and they said, "Don't tell me what to do." And I said, "Oh, I'm not telling you what to do. I said, you can have honey. I'm choosing not to have honey." But what I'm finding is the longer that I have given up animal-based products and dairy products, the more conscientious I am about how much that is a part of our world. Like in makeup, are they animal tested makeup products? Just about anything. And I think about my car. I have leather seats in my car, and I'm thinking that's so interesting because we just have gotten to a point where we take it for granted that that's a part of our culture. So with your music and your writing, where do you see yourself going as you grow your presence within the vegan community? Where do you see yourself going with your music and your writing?
Sure. So as a musician, I'm a little bit more forward with it all. I have a stronger message. There's a couple of songs I've done with clear political messages, and I give a portion of sales of those songs to an animal charity each year. There's not a lot that comes in from them, but it's really important to me that I'm not just. Look, I don't think that you can grow a reputation on a political statement without backing it up in some way.
Right.
So if I'm going to put out the word that I am a vocal, active vegan, I need to back it up financially. So if people happen to like the songs enough to be able to download them and enjoy them, then I will forward those funds to animal charities.
Nice.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say, this is Kathleen Gage with Plant-Based Eating for Health, and I'm talking with Mem Davis, and we are talking about being vegans. And we're going to put all your links down below in the show notes. But how can people get in touch with you before we continue on?
Oh, okay. So for assistance as a writer, I'm on memdavis.com.
And that's memdavis.com. Okay, and we'll make sure to put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
So what do you see moving forward? What do you see with the world? And really, I like to think that people are becoming more and more aware by the day, but as I've been watching what's going on in the United States lately, sometimes I wonder how unconscious people truly are. What can we do? You're doing it through your music. I do a lot of activism work through animal rescue, all the animals that we have, except for one horse. We have 3 horses. We have 2 chickens, a rooster, we have 2 dogs and a cat, and they're all rescues except for one. And I will not buy a designer dog. I will not buy a dog from a backyard breeder because I've seen how horrendous things are. But what do you see that people can do moving forward? And again, with your music and your writing, what would you like to see happen with the impact that you have?
I think that talking about people who are not yet vegan, people are resistant to change, but they also, by being resistant, I think they don't realize that they have choice. And going out and exploring vegan options that are now available, whether that's using, trying new vegan food that's readily available in the supermarket and restaurants now, or approaching a vegan business just to chat and find out what their services are. I think by broadening your horizons in that way, you're opening yourself to change instead of seeing it as some big scary thing where you have to give up everything you know and
right.
love.
Well, how would somebody get started? Let's say that they're going to make a New Year's resolution as we move into 2021, and they say, okay, I'm going to go vegan. How do they start so that they don't start and then stop?
Yeah. Look, I think it's different for everybody, but it can be overwhelming changing everything overnight. So my suggestion is pick a meal a day and make that meal vegan. I did a lot of recipe book cooking. I had no idea how you make vegan food, because what's that? And then I realized that a banana smoothie was vegan and it was really good energy for someone who was running a lot. So I started off with vegan banana smoothies, and I started researching different things I could put in to make them more nutritious and more filling. Then I started experimenting with dinners, because I knew that I could cook a dinner in bulk and I'd have food for the next few nights. So I didn't have to stress every night about what I was going to eat. I'd make a big chili pot and serve that up with some sourdough or potatoes. And that was dinner for a couple of nights.
Nice.
And it wasn't overwhelming in that way.
Well, that's the nice thing. I love using my crock pot. I haven't gotten into an Instapot yet, but I use my crock pot all the time. And I just put beans in there. I put vegetables in there. I put usually vegetable broth in there. I love using garlic. And I cook that up all day. Yeah. And that lasts me, that can last 3, 4, 5 days. And my mother-in-law loves it. I did a butternut squash soup the other day, and we went out hiking today, and she said, ooh, I'm going to get some of that butternut squash soup. And, it's really nice because I know for her, she doesn't eat as much as she should. And so by me cooking, she's getting high nutrients. And that's another thing. You're a nutritionist, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So what would you say on the flip side, the downside of somebody going vegan or plant-based, that they're not getting enough nutrition? How does that happen? Because I've known people that they're not getting enough calories. They're, eating one thing and that's it. So talk about that.
So the 2 main things I notice is plant-based food. If you're eating, I'm talking whole food here, real food, not a lot of the processed replacement meats, if you like. a lot of that is a lot higher in fiber, so it fills you up a lot more quickly, which means that you're eating less calories, you're eating less food to fill up. So you're probably not getting as many calories as you were before. And one of the things, especially when I was at my most active, one of the things I struggled with was eating sufficient calories to be able to maintain the energy that I was burning. So it's really important to realize that even though your plate looks really full, it's not full of the same stuff, and you actually need to eat more, and there's no upper limit to how many beans or lentils or salads you can have. Really, we do eat more than just salad, but so eating enough calories. The other thing is eating a variety.
Right.
Everybody's got their favorite food, but even with a non-vegan diet, I think it's really important to eat a big variety of plant-based foods to get a variety of nutrients. Otherwise, you're potentially eliminating certain nutrients.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
you know, it's interesting because one of the things I noticed when I went plant-based, I finally gave up on diets. I mean, I've been a yo-yo dieter all my life, and my heaviest weight was about 60 pounds heavier than I am right now. And when I started plant-based eating, I was close to 200 pounds, and I'm about 158 right now. And when I started, I gave up on diets. I didn't start to lose weight. I started because I had inflammation. But what was interesting is, like you said, I was eating heap loads of food. And I mean, my plates were full up, and I would get full, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to gain weight. Well, I started losing weight and losing weight. And then I got more energy. So I started exercising more. And then I had to eat more. And so it's kind of interesting because it's a real guilty pleasure kind of thing. It's like you get the energy to exercise. And you mentioned you're a runner, and you were. And what kind of exercise do you now enjoy?
Now I do yoga.
Oh, okay. Okay. What kind of yoga do you do?
Different from the gym junkie I was. It used to be a few days at the gym lifting the weights, and I ended up with a shoulder injury. So I turned to yoga to help maintain muscle mass without putting extra pressure on it.
Well, talk to us about yoga, because I actually do, I'm doing what's called the 75 Hard Challenge right now, and you do two 45-minute protocols a day. And one of mine happens to be yoga in the early morning, about 5 or 5:30 in the morning, and then in the afternoon I go on a run. Talk to us about what yoga can really do for you, and what protocol do you follow in yoga?
Oh, wow. Yoga started as a way to exercise when I couldn't go to the gym. I'd always maintained it was too slow and boring for me. I like to get in there and get it done. And then I realized that it was really good for my mental health. It's not just about being physically fit. It was, however long I was on the mat, was a chance to check in with my mind and just to slow it down for a little bit and stop with that chitter chatter. So now I do it once a day, usually with a friend who was in lockdown in Melbourne. So I think, you know, down in Victoria, they've been on very strict lockdown until just a few days ago. And she was unable to go anywhere. So we met up on Zoom. We'd pick an online yoga video and we'd do it together, and it kept us both accountable and it kept us both sane.
Nice. Well, who do you follow on YouTube for yoga?
Yoga with Adrienne.
Okay, I know several of my friends follow Adrienne, and I've watched some of hers. I follow Jen Hillman, and you know, that's the thing. Everything is readily available if people want it, and I think it goes back to personal responsibility. What's the quality of life that we want? And now, with your writing, how, if somebody were interested in contacting you about you helping them with their copywriting in their business, you work with ethical businesses. What's the easiest way for people to get in touch with you if they want to find out more about your services?
Probably email. So mem@memdavis.com.
Okay, so we'll make sure that's in the show notes also. And describe for me your ideal client. Who would you like? You could wave a magic wand, your perfect client.
I love writing websites for people. So somebody who's looking to create or redo their website, that expresses who they are, what they do, and why you need their service or product. So somebody who's looking to reach out to their clientele and grow their business, and just don't quite know how to write about themselves. Because writing about yourself is the hardest thing in the world.
Absolutely. Even as writers, we should have other people write our stuff because
I do. Yeah, I've had other people go over my own website, which is kind of like the plumber's leaky house, but I'll get around to that one day when I'm not doing other people's. But there's something wonderful about using language to really speak to an audience. And so whoever's reading it goes, yeah, I believe in that, and I need that, and I want that, and this is the person to help me.
Awesome.
We tend to fall into the trap of going, this is me and this is all of my experience, and whoever's reading that is going to go, that's nice.
Absolutely.
What
Yes.
can you do for me? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And so as we move into 2021, what do you think would be one thing you would like to see happen as far as raising awareness around the animals, with factory farming? It boggles my mind when people say, I don't want to know anything about that because I wouldn't want to eat meat then. And it's like, that's the whole idea.
That's the whole point.
Yeah. It's like, what would you like to see happen moving into the new year so that people become more compassionate and more aware of truly the dangers of eating meat and the compassion around not eating meat?
It's interesting. I mean, going into 2021, we're coming off the back of, or still heavily in the middle of, a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen anything more divisive than what I've seen this year. And when we're talking about animal ethics, I don't necessarily think that's completely separate to everything else that's going on. I think that people need to learn to have a nuanced conversation without immediately pointing the finger and placing blame.
Mm-hmm.
And by having an open mind, we're more able to learn about what's going on. And people who are willing to question the status quo, whether that's the way certain governments and health departments are handling what's going on, or whether that's factory farming and the incredible amount of subsidies and cruelty behind it.
Right.
I think that people need to learn to have an open mind and to question, instead of just going straight in with an opinion and shoving everyone else to the side.
Right. Let's talk about the energy of what we put in our body, because you do yoga, you meditate, I would assume. You're very in tune with the mind, body, spirit connection. And what is your belief and your thoughts around what we put in our body energetically shifts who we are and how we perceive the world?
Very much so, on a few different levels. So from an animal products perspective, you're not just taking on the muscle of what was once a living being, or the byproduct of what was a living being. You're also taking on all of the fear and all of the sadness that animal had within it when it was living, or when it was producing those foods, in inverted commas, those products. And that's something that innately affects us. And I actually think that it affects our ability to be compassionate towards other animals in a way. I wonder if that's maybe why it's so hard to give up animal products, because they're literally a part of us when you're eating them.
Right.
Sorry, go on.
No, well, and it's so interesting because you look at the amount of fear, anger, hate, divisiveness going on throughout the world. Yeah. And we're especially seeing it right now in the United States. And I know it's happening all over the world. And I really believe that it's because we have all of that people have consumed, and it just is a part of their DNA.
Yeah,
I mean, it just,
absolutely.
and to be able to raise the awareness around that so people could see, oh, you know, maybe I can, by eliminating this, I can be much more balanced in my life.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask you this. If somebody, you know, we talked about if they want to go vegan, some of the steps they could take, what would be a real simple protocol for somebody to have more balance in their life? And you do yoga through Adrienne on YouTube. I do it through Jen Hillman. And I just found Sheila. She's fabulous over 50. And she's great. She's great. And, you know, I look at these amazing women that are just doing what they're doing. They've been called to do their life's work. And your life's work is writing and music and raising awareness around veganism and compassion to the animals. What would be a simple protocol somebody could incorporate into their life, very simple, to start moving towards a more compassionate, balanced life?
I found an accountability buddy really helpful. Especially with yoga. With eating, it was something I was quite happy to explore myself, because I was driven by ethics. But in terms of other things that I've been trying to change and other habits, having a friend that I check in with daily, and she checks in with me daily, and we hold each other accountable for things that we say we'll do. Whether that's meeting up for, even if it's just a 15-minute yoga session, 15 minutes is better than nothing at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And in terms of eating, we'll often share meals with each other, not in person because it's online, but, you know, we'll take a photo and go, I made this today and it was amazing. So having somebody who will share your wins and keep you on track.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, you know, I just so appreciate what you're doing. And I was excited to have you on the show, because my commitment as I go further and further into the plant-based vegan lifestyle is to do whatever I can to help other people get their message out there, raise the awareness, and have much more compassion around other human beings, around animals, and just the way we treat ourselves. Because I truly believe that there's much more that we can be doing for ourselves to eat healthy and live healthy, so we don't have to be impacted by the pandemic the way the majority of the people are. And with that, I've been talking with Mem Davis, and it's been delightful. And you can find her at memdavis.com. We'll put that in the show notes. And in closing, what are your final thoughts?
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you for sharing so much with the community about veganism. Thank you for spreading the word.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you. And you have a great day.
You too.
Thank you for your commitment to an ethical life through plant-based food choices. The kind of choices that are kind to your body, the environment, and most of all, animals. Be sure to leave a review and rating of the Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast show.